Jason J. Rock Houston, and this is Categories TV. Our special guest for today is Derek Davis, the lead vocalist of the band Babylon AD. How you doing today, Derek?
I'm doing great, man.
Now, how long has Babylon AD been a band? I mean, I know you guys have been around for quite a while now.
Yeah, we actually got together and formed in 1987.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Quite a while ago, about 20, well, shit, 35 years? 30?
Wow. Can you believe it? Yeah, it doesn't seem like it, but I
No.
know that's, I've been hearing the name for many, many years. And I always love to ask people, this may be an obvious question, but like, tell us the story behind the band's name. I was just curious, is it like what most people think? Is it a religious thing or just a cool sounding name to you? Or
No, there's nothing really behind it, man. I mean, we happened to be living down in Hollywood right before we got a record deal, and the record company asked us to change our name because we were called the Persuaders.
Oh, wow.
And there was another band called the Persuaders.
Okay.
And so we started thinking about names, and I seen a movie. I think it was, it might have been Beach Blanket Babylon or something like that.
Wow, okay.
But I like the name Babylon, so I just pitched it to the A&R guy and our manager, and they went, yeah. And then the rest of the guys said, yeah, that sounds cool. So we became just Babylon, and then we found out that there was another band. A band sued us.
Wow.
They wanted $5,000 from us,
Wow.
and they were just a cover band. They were like from Milwaukee. They said, hey, that's our name, because Arista Records had put out CDs and or cassettes and things like that, like promo material.
Yeah.
Before it was even done.
Wow.
And I guess they found out. And so we just said, fuck you guys. We'll just change our name to Babylon AD then.
What's cool about that, I never knew that story about the name. Now, it seems like, number one, maybe you got the better name, the Persuaders is a cool name, but I think this is a little better. And
I think so too.
It gets people talking, I mean, Babylon AD, what is that? And then people think, and I was guilty of this myself, like, oh, AD, they must be talking about, after death.
Well, kind of. It's funny because when we first came out, a lot of different Christian magazines,
thought that.
Kind of thought that, and they thought we were like a religious band or something. We're all Christians and everything, but we don't,
not to that extent, like.
Yeah, we don't make all our songs about that though.
Yeah. That's interesting. And so we're talking today, Derek, because the band is getting ready to release. I think the official release date is next Friday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, for the new live album, Live Lightning. So I want to ask you about the live album. Why at this point, like a live album is something you always wanted to do and thought, why not?
No, well, what happened was the president from Paris Records called me, and we were talking about some stuff that I was going to put out. And so he asked me if Babylon AD was doing anything. And I said, well, right now we're writing new tunes, and we're going to release a new record, probably early next year. And he said, well, yeah, I want to be part of it. And I said, okay, cool. And he said, you guys got anything else going on? I said, well, I do have 3 shows that we recorded, in the past. I hadn't listened to them yet. I didn't know what they sound like. I had no clue. But he said, well, if you got something good, why don't we just put out a live album? Just let everybody know, kind of make a teaser, to kind of let everybody know that Babylon AD is back in action. And then that way we can start talking about the new album, this new studio album.
Great way to kick it off, Yeah,
that's how it came about.
And as far as the live album, so from what you're saying, was it taken from one show? Was it a mixture of those shows?
3 different shows. It was taken from, well, actually I had 3 shows that were recorded by our sound guy, and we had 16 songs total that were recorded. But after a while, it came down to really 2 shows that sounded really good. The third show just, I don't know, it just did not sound good.
Okay.
I had to listen to a lot of stuff. I had to listen to Hammer Swings Down 3 times and Kid Goes Wild 3 times and things like that. And it got pretty apparent after about 3 or 4 listens that, no, this third gig's not going to work. So I chose the best songs that I thought represented the band and sounded the best, whatever sounded sonically the best,
And between the 2 gigs, I mean, that must have been hard, because I imagine a lot of the set list is the same. So how hard is that to pick, like, okay, well, we're going to pick, Sally Dance from this show versus that show. Is that a hard thing to do?
Well, like I said, it's a matter of sitting down and listening to the tracks.
Yeah, yeah,
And if they sound really good, then you're like, well, why keep that one off? You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
for instance, we had a version of the hell was it? I think yeah, we had a version of "Pray for the Wicked," um, and another song. God, I can't think of it at the top of my head. Oh,
All
"Slave Your
right.
Body,"
Okay.
and they just didn't sound good.
Yeah.
You know, so that's like, well, there's no reason to put these two on there that sound like crap when the rest of them sound good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and what's interesting, like when I was growing up, a lot of our favorite bands we grew up on put out, what are now considered classic live albums. I mean, just a few to come to mind, Cheap Trick live at
Oh
Budokan,
yeah,
Deep
one of my
Purple
favorites.
made in Japan,
Yep,
Kiss Alive,
yep,
Peter Frampton comes alive, Ted
yep,
Nugent,
yep. Some of
Wango
my
Tango.
favorites.
Yeah, but great live albums, and they don't make those. But in listening to this, your live album prep for the interview today, um, what's interesting is it sounds like a lot of those classic live albums I grew up. I mean, like you said, sonically, I don't know if you had to do any touching up, but I'll tell you, just listening with my ears, I had
Yeah.
that feeling of like Kiss Alive, like or Cheap Trick live at Budokan. Yeah, I felt like I was there.
Well, that's good because that's what we hope would come across. And that's another reason how we pick the songs. Like which one really sounds like you're there, like
Yeah,
you're part of the audience, because we really are a live band. Everyone's always told us that, a lot of energy on stage and stuff like that. We try to stay as tight as we can, we try to not make too many mistakes, and we've been playing the songs for quite a while. So
yeah,
it comes through like that. And it's funny that you say that because before I started remixing, because you have the 24 tracks sitting in
yeah,
front of you. It's not like people think where you just have two tracks and
yeah,
that's it. You have the 24 tracks of what was recorded that day. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And it has a live element to it. It has all the sound and all the audience and the mistakes and things like that. But you also have the opportunity to, make it sound a little bit fatter, a little bit
Yeah,
bigger, a little bit
yeah.
better, just because you do have the tracks,
Oh,
but
sure.
they are live.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's funny that you said that about those albums because before I started mixing, I listened to all those albums, believe it or
wow.
not, all of them, every single one you just said,
That's
because
amazing.
those were my favorites. And that's what I wanted to kind of come across with, like, man, this is the stuff that when I grew up, this is what it sounded like. So
Yeah,
I tried to keep it as much as authentic as possible. But of course, if there was a couple songs where Danny's guitar playing when he's playing,
yeah,
it sounded real thin. Like for some reason, the guitar just sounded thin. And I'm
yeah,
like, damn, but Ron sounded really fat and good.
yeah.
And they're spread left and right. So of course, he cued his guitar, make it sound fatter.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
I didn't really
it's
have an
like,
issue. I know some people do, but like, I mean, even Kiss Alive again, I go back to that because it's a classic live album. It's one of my all-time favorites. People still point to that as a great live album. And I bring it up too because, they've come out, all these years later and admitted they've touched some stuff up and some stuff was done in the studio. I don't really have a problem with that. I'll tell you why, because it sounds like a live album to me. I mean, I mean, and if a lot of that is production work, it's great production then, because
well, it is live. It is live. Everything's played live. There's
yeah,
no like touching up and things like that,
yeah, yeah,
except for like EQ a
I
little
got
bit. Oh, you know what? The bass sounds like shit right now on this song. Let me figure out if I can shape it and
yeah,
that kind of thing. Most of the time drums, if the drums sound good on a live mix, then you're about 60% home,
yeah,
because that's the key for me anyways, is a drum mix. And if it sounds
sure.
really good and fat and you don't have to hardly do nothing at all except for maybe pull the cymbals up or little things like that, then you're home. But
And I
as
think,
far as you're basically just touching it up, man. You're just
yeah,
making it sound a little bit better than it really
really
probably
is.
on a
Yeah,
2-track. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
And what I love about this coming out on Paris Records, I've been following, them for years. I mean, they've been, they even like predate, like Amazon. I mean, they were probably one of the
That's
first
true.
places to
Yeah.
sell music online, and they're still doing it. And they're real. They get behind bands like Babylon ID, where you've got a household name. People are aware of the band, and people are constantly discovering you guys. And there's enough interest for an album like this to come out by Babylon ID. And I think it's going to do, they probably think the same thing is, okay, it's going to remind people, first of all, that Babylon AD is still out there doing stuff. And
Yeah.
I think when they get this live album, they're going to be, maybe encouraged to go see the band live, saying, "Oh wow, if these guys sound this good on record, I can only imagine, on a live album, I can imagine what it would be to see like them, in person."
Yeah. It's pretty powerful when we play, and that's just because we played together so long. We've kind of honed our sound.
Yeah.
I've gone back and I've looked at a lot of videos that people have taken on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm always surprised like how good we sound just like that, just
Yeah.
on somebody's, recorder with their phone or whatever,
Yeah. 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 And
So
talk about modern tech. I mean, even as bands are recording like whole albums on their iPhone, these days. Who would have thought that would ever be possible,
that sounds crazy to me.
Yeah. But and getting back, another thing I think about having a live album like this come out now that's really great for a band like Babylon ID. You're gonna have a certain people buying the album when it comes out next week that are they're hardcore fans. They'll buy anything Babylon ID puts out. Then you're
Yeah.
gonna have a certain number of people just going to be discovering you guys through this album, and then they're going to come to realize not only is this a great sounding live band, but man, they got great songs.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think we've always tried to, and I think that the songs that are on this album are good representations of of some of our best work. We've got
Yeah.
some other stuff that I wish we would have been able to put on there, like So Savage the Heart, things like that, Redemption, that are just great songs, like, wow,
Yeah.
that's a great song. But we just didn't have them recorded, you know?
Yeah. And, like, for example, I mean, right away I think, okay, Bang Goes the Gong. That's like a lot of people, that's the song for me, or that's, that was kind of the first song I ever heard from you guys. So it has a special place in my heart. But then I listened to other songs that I didn't know as well. And I'm like, man, these are all great songs. I mean, I'm hearing some of the stuff for the first time, and I'm still loving it, And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that's kind of a breakout song or whatever. It was a breakout hit for this band, but
Yeah.
there's much more to them than just that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, and another thing is we're putting out a live video for Kid Goes Wild, and we're making that a single too. That's going to be released next week at the same time.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff going on.
Do you think there will be other live? Because that's going to be my next question. I know people aren't buying DVDs and that like they once were, but have you thought about putting like these songs like a live video or something, for people?
Well, like I said, we're doing Kid Goes Wild, which is that's actually we just got finished with it yesterday, and that's 5 gigs spliced together with
Okay.
audience and backstage stuff and things that people really don't see, what the band's
Yeah.
doing normally, backstage things,
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really cool. We do have some footage for some of the other songs like Hammer Swings Down, Bangle the Bells, which is really good footage. So we're thinking about maybe give it about a month or two and maybe put out Hammer Swings Down or Bangle the Bells. Those might just be straightforward, just live videos, but they're really good.
Well, that's fun for what it is too, because I mean, MTV doesn't really exist today. I mean, you could
No.
buy MTV and you wouldn't even know you're there because it's a TV network. They don't even play music these days. It's like,
Yeah,
what is that?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell I don't even know why they have the M for music anymore. What's the point?
Yeah, yeah.
It'd just be social TV,
Yeah, I mean, I know they're a little different from what you do, but what's funny is I was interviewing the drummer from Trickster once, and he was telling me, he says, okay, back in '94 when grunge was starting to hit and everything, and MTV was turning their, back on some of the other mainstream bands, he's saying, the week before we had a #1 song, and then the week after that, we could never get anything played on MTV.
Yeah, yeah.
That just
It was
goes
like
to show
that.
you. Yeah, but and then that's why a band like Babylon, if you can get people checking out your videos, through your Facebook page, through YouTube, it's amazing. You don't even need something like MTV. That's how I discovered a lot of bands and people that I interview for this. But like it's amazing because too, people go on YouTube and you're lucky if they even play your song all the way through. But if they're the true diehards, they know where to find the stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a generational type of thing. The younger generation has, it used to be 15 minutes of fame. Now it's 15 seconds of fame,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
got about 15 seconds to hook somebody in, unless they're all like, fuck that. They go to the next thing. So that's one thing that kind of sucks,
Yeah, I mean, like you have a lot of these American Idol bands and stuff like people
Right.
those type of shows, And okay, some of those people got a certain level of talent, but well, let's be honest. The thing they have going for them is they have people writing the songs for them, and that takes a certain level of talent, I guess. But like
Yeah.
I much more respect a band like Babylon AD for the simple fact you're a band that really paid your dues. Like it's all right to do a cover song here and there, but you write your own material, you write your own songs. You've paved the way for what you guys are doing all these years later.
Yep, and we're still writing.
Yeah.
We got a lot of good songs for this next record, man. It's gonna be
And
really good.
that's a good question. Like, let me ask you, because a lot of bands that have been around as long as you guys are at the point in their career where they've decided, you know what, people aren't buying CDs. Why put out
Yeah,
new music? Let's just
yeah.
live off our catalog music. I tip my hat to you guys. You're in it for the long haul. You're still creating new music for your fans, and so there's something to be said for that, you know.
Yeah, I've always kind of wondered that myself. There's a lot of bands, like for instance, like YNT, they're from the same area as we are. And those guys are a great band, man. And they put on Dave and the guys still put on a great show. But I don't think they've made an album in about 10 years,
Yeah,
maybe longer. And it's like, well, why not? Because I know John still writes material.
yeah.
It's like, is it just because, oh, we can't sell, 200,000 records
Maybe.
anymore, or
Yeah, who
what is
knows?
it, man?
Yeah,
Because for me, you know, it's not. Of course, you'd like to sell a lot of records, but really, for me, it's a way to get out what you want to say out, and at the same time, you know that there's going to be a certain amount of people that dig it, and I can't stop writing myself. I tried a couple times years ago, and I can't stop writing. You know what I mean? And I can't like stop hearing different ideas by guitar players, John or Ron or whoever it may be. And not want to create and do
yeah,
something with it.
yeah,
I think you probably see me in my studio here. I'm in here all the time,
yeah,
so I've got all kinds of shit going on in my head all the time.
yeah.
I want this song, I want that song, I got
Everything
that
you
song.
do in the studios and for constantly for Babylon AD, or do you ever work with collaborate with other people or write for other people?
So mainly I use this studio for all my stuff.
Yeah,
Right. I'm constantly writing songs for either me or Babylon AD, or sometimes I write for another artist or whatever. But lately, probably about before COVID, I just said no. I didn't have time for anybody else, man.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
always like being really cool to my friends that are musicians. Okay, I'll record you. But after a while, it's like, shit, man, I spent 2 days recording one of my buddies, whatever. They don't really do nothing with their song. They don't know what to do with it.
yeah,
And I feel like it's a waste of time. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Even
Makes
if
sense.
it's a good song, I'm like, well, I'm just really wasting my time because you're not going to do anything with it.
Yeah.
Um, Now I did produce a song about a month ago, and just because I heard the demo and I went, whoa, that's a great song, and I was like, man, I want to. Can I just take this demo and enhance it and add stuff to it and make it better? And
Yeah.
and it was John Matthews' daughter, and
Oh
and
wow.
she's a great singer, and she's a really soulful singer, like just I don't know how to explain it. She's got kind of like her own style, but it's very soulful, and the song's more like avant-garde. I don't even know how to explain it, like U2 or something, I guess.
I'm getting your point, which is this. You're making the point, which is just because you're a guy that plays in a hard rock metal band, you can do other stuff.
Oh
You can
yeah, I
have
write all kinds of different
you can
types of
have
music.
appreciation for somebody that does something totally different from what you do, and I
Yeah,
think that's true, and that shows how that your depth and appreciation you have for. I mean, myself, I typically listen to hard rock and metal bands, but you know what? I got appreciation for stuff like Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, the Eagles. I mean,
yeah, right.
these are all bands they've had their music played on the radio for over 40 years, and we're still
Yeah,
listening to that stuff. That's why.
yeah. I listen to all kinds of music, man. I'm not just stuck in just some hard rock vein. I mean,
Yeah,
because I live it and I do it. It's almost like I don't listen to that because I'm trying to discover different stuff.
yeah. There you go.
You
Yeah.
know?
And how do you like being on the other side of that, Derek? Kind of, being in the business all these years, and you get an opportunity to kind of produce and mold, maybe an up and coming artist, and kind of
Mhm.
they're learning from all your years in the business.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. I do, man. I love being in the recording studio. I'll help as much as I can other bands and stuff. For instance, my nephew's got a killer screamo rock band. They're called Hollywood Nightmare, and
Okay.
they're down in LA, and they're tearing it up, man. But you know, it's not my genre because it's really screamo, but at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time, you break down and get into melodic parts at the same time. And he's killing it. You know, he's 23 years old and he's living the dream right now. You know, they've got a record deal and everything like we did years ago.
Mhm.
Everything's a little bit scaled back than it used to, but they've got great videos. They might go somewhere.
Who
But I
knows? Yeah.
talk to him all the time, and it's so funny because he literally started playing guitar maybe, well, must have been about when he was about
Mhm.
13 years old. We were camping and he walked up to me and he said, Uncle Dirk, can you teach me how to play guitar? And
Now,
so I go, yeah, sure. Because all my nephews and my son, they all wanted me to teach them guitar as years go by. Not one of them stayed with it. But I swear to God, that kid, I taught him like 6 chords and I taught him, you know, one song. And this was at a camping site,
yeah.
camping one summer, like about 9, 10 years ago. And he came back the next year and he was a better guitar player than I was.
Oh, I bet.
I'm
Yeah.
not shitting you. He was shredding. I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Then my,
So
my
your nephew and your
cousin
son, I bet they've come to a couple, see you play live, I'm sure, over the years.
well, you know what he did, man, is he got the best teacher. He was from Denver at the time. He got the best teacher there is, and he didn't go to school and he practiced like 12 hours a day.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not kidding you, man. This kid could shred on guitar
After all
within
school, yeah.
1 year. I
Yeah.
was like, I couldn't even believe it.
I mean, you know, I hear people going on, they learn how to play the guitar that now these days just going on YouTube. You know, I think, you
Well,
know,
he told me that too. He said he goes on YouTube a lot and just like sits there and slows down the thing, and next thing you know, he's just wailing away. You know.
so, you know, Derek, you guys are, you're saying from San Francisco, what was how would you say the metal or the scene up there has changed from, you know, now versus when you guys were first, you know, starting out?
How the scene has changed since when
I
we
mean,
started
is
out.
there much of a scene there? I imagine
There is
back,
no scene.
yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say.
San Francisco is dead as a doornail, man. I got to tell you. Uh, there's a few clubs that like Babylon AD could play, and there's a lot of cover acts,
Yeah.
but they're basically like smaller clubs. They're not like the Stones were, the Omni, you know, big, you know, 2,000 seaters anymore. They're more like 400, 350 to 700, you know, that kind of thing. But it's the scene is not there except for like a band like us will play and people know us from the Bay Area, and then the club will get packed.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I
know,
think you guys are one of the few remaining relics from you know that era because I mean,
right.
if you go back, you know, San Francisco's always been very interesting music place. Go back to the '60s, you had stuff like Creedence and Jefferson Starship, the Grateful Dead. Then you move into the '80s and you had stuff like, you know, Sammy Hagar, Montrose,
Yeah,
Y&T,
right.
you guys, and then the '80s metal thrash scene, you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's just so weird that it just like doesn't
kind of
really
died.
exist, you
Yeah.
know? It's
Even out here in LA where I'm from, you know, the Sunset Strip was once huge. It is like barely even alive, if you know what I mean. I mean, a lot of those guys moved to Vegas, so you go down to
oh
the
yeah.
Sunset Strip, it's not like it ever once was, you know, in the '80s.
Yeah, a lot of people moved to Vegas and Arizona and to Nashville, you know, that kind of thing. Um, you know, what are you gonna do though? You know, I mean, we still live around here, so
I
we're
was gonna
not gonna,
say,
you know,
you
pack
guys
up
are
and
doing
move.
what you can to keep the music alive, and
Yeah,
that's why I say, you know, if you are one of the last so-called relics, thank God for that because you're keeping it alive, you know.
yeah. What we're trying to do as best we can. I mean, Y&T still plays quite a lot around
Yeah.
here. You know, they'll do stints over in Europe, and sometimes we play with those guys. But there's not a lot of. I can't really think of anybody besides those guys and Tesla, but they're from basically from
Sacramento,
Sacramento.
yeah.
Really.
And then, you know, again, no disrespect, but when I say you guys are relics, what I mean is, you know, you obviously have staying power. You're kind of what's left. And if people are still buying your albums, they're still coming to your shows, then, you
Yeah.
know, you guys got something going for you, you know, and I can't wait to hear this new album. So, you know, I guess you say that be coming out next year, huh?
The studio album will be coming out. We figure it'll be coming out around the same exact time as right now.
Okay. That's
You know what I
pretty good.
mean?
What a way to
Yeah.
kick off the new year, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's a good time to come out around March, February, March, April, or whatever. You know, it really, you know, we could have released it around November, December, maybe if we rushed it, but we got some gigs we got to play. We got
Mhm.
some shows we're doing, so that's gonna slow us down just a little bit in the studio, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so, but we're trying to plan this one right, and we want to have we want to have great songs on it, and we want to have the right write songs on it. You know what I mean? Because we
Yeah,
don't
rather than rush it
bands
out,
will put out
let's make it
another
a
album
quality
now.
album, right? Yeah.
What's that?
Rather than rush it out, let's make it about quality, you know, the quality of the album.
Exactly, because there's a lot of bands. I was just going to say, there's a lot of bands that maybe are from our same
Era.
era, and they'll just pop out a record and pop out a record. Maybe they have one good song on the damn thing.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
they
Yeah.
didn't even care. They just wanted to, you know,
I mean,
throw something out there.
that's what I got to say about this
like
live
that.
album, you know, before we wrap this up is 14 great tunes. I mean, I listen to it and I don't find one filler track, you know, and so it's a killer, yeah, it's a killer piece of work. And if you guys now you're going to do anything to promote that, like you're going to do any live shows, I think it'd be fun to do like maybe a show where you play all those songs.
We're gonna play. We're gonna play most of them. We're gonna play a couple different ones, I think, because we're already been putting together our set. You know, we're playing some pretty good shows coming up. We don't really start playing till around June, but
Okay.
We're gonna be playing the Whiskey. That's gonna be a fun gig. It always is.
Oh, there you go. You guys be headlining that or?
Yeah.
Oh, cool, cool.
That's September 2nd.
Oh, wow. That's definitely something to go see. And then I guess the last thing I want to ask you, like I was telling you, like a lot of people, the first song I ever heard from you guys was Bang Goes a Bell. Now, when you were writing that, did you have any idea what it would do? How surprised were you when that was kind of the breakout song?
Yeah. So that was just a riff that Ron had. He happened to be we were living in Los Angeles at the time, and we just got there. We must have been there about a week. And I had a 4-track recording studio set up in the bedroom, and there was 7 of us living in one bedroom apartment in Hollywood.
Wow.
So it was like mayhem, you know, but I had a little recorder and I stuck it in the corner, and Ron was in the living room and he was playing the riff. And I'm kind of like listening to it as I was recording this other song. And so I got up, I went in the living room. I said, "What's that riff, man?" He goes, "I don't know, man. I'm just making it up." I said, "Fucking keep on playing it."
We keep playing, we'll get
for the riff. And then so I said, come in the bedroom where the little 4-track was set up. Let's make this a song, you know. And I started going, bang go the bell, dude. You know, it would, you know, little stuff like that. It comes like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Other times it seems like if you're laboring over a song, then usually it's not good. But if it's just kind of magic and it happens, then that's when it's usually a good song.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, sometimes you just with anything in life, you overthink it, and
right.
Sometimes it's like they say, keep it simple. You know, I mean, sometimes the most simplistic songs are the most beautiful ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Derek, as you can tell, I'm a fan. I really enjoyed talking today and getting to know you. Let's make a point to keep in touch. I'd love to do this again. The interview we just did probably be getting posted sometime next week. I'll let Mike know as soon as it goes up. But thanks for doing this. I really enjoyed talking. We'll do it again. I promise.
Cool, man.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Take care. Bye-bye.